What is up, everybody? Welcome to High School Never Ends, a pop punk dad podcast. I'm Wingman Steve.
And I'm Chris 183.
Chris, it is the dog days of summer. It is July, and we have a brand new theme. And we're going to do some Rankin' It's, right? Have we done Rankin' It before?
We've done it. Yes. It is everybody's favorite segment.
Probably about 287 times, but nobody's counting. Anyways, this summer we're going to be doing Rankin' It Summer Showdown. And what exactly does that mean, Chris?
It's time for a showdown, Steve. I've had just about enough of you.
You have? Well, I don't know. This is kind of collaborative. It's not necessarily a showdown, but what we wanted to do is take the concept of Rankin' It, which we do on every single episode, and just kind of expand it a little bit. Do something a little bit longer. People like lists. People like ranking things. And what we're going to do today is we are going to look at not all, but a lot of the bands from Drive-Thru Records, and we're going to rank them. Do you know how this works?
I do know how it works, Steve. So we've already ranked our favorite 1 through 20, correct? Did you do your homework and rank your favorite 1 through 20?
Correct. We have 20 bands from Drive-Thru Records. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to take turn revealing what those 1 through 20 are, one at a time, you and I. We're not going to give them all away at once.
That's a good idea.
Do it 5 at a time. And after we reveal all of our personal rankings, Steve, we're going to add the two scores together. And that should be very interesting because I feel like our scores could be different.
Yes, and definitely.
You could sabotage me. I could sabotage you.
Well, I didn't go into this with any personal feelings of sabotaging. I just ranked the 20 bands that in my order of favorites. So it didn't have anything to do with you.
But it could. That's what I'm saying. It could do that.
If one wanted to do that, it could.
So what happens after that?
All right. So we're each going to give our rankings, these bands from 20 all the way down to 1. And then we're going to combine the scores. And then we're going to talk about the ultimate rankings, which is the combined score. So the band that has the highest combined score will be the 20th ranked band, and the band that has the lowest ranked score will be the number 1 rated Drive-Thru Records band.
Can I stop you real quick? I just said what happens after that, and you recapped everything I just said.
Okay.
Why'd you do that?
After that, I guess the episode's over.
No, there's more.
Oh, what else is there?
And then we're going to go from 20 to 1 and give our ranks then based on those scores, correct?
That's what I just said.
No, at the end, that's what we're going to do.
That's the end, yes.
Yeah.
We're each going to give our own, then we're going to combine them, and then we're going to go through what the combined rankings are.
That's when the rubber meets the road, right there. That's going to be our definitive 20 through 1, correct?
Yes, that is correct. I think we got these rules all ironed out. Want to shout out a quick thank you to our patrons, Tom, Jason, Nick, Sam, Punkistad, Ashley, and Jeff, before we get kicked off. And if you want to play along, we'll list all of the bands in alphabetical order to start. And then you could hit pause, rank them yourself, and then see how they stack up against your ranks, my ranks, and it'll be a good old time.
All right. Well, I don't think there's any other context to go through here, Steve, other than just getting started with it. I don't have any other words.
Okay. The only asterisk I will throw in this is these are all bands that put out records on Drive-Thru Records, but I didn't include Dashboard Confessional or Less Than Jake. They're not like traditional. I know that they have had releases on Drive-Thru, but they're not really Drive-Thru bands. So let's talk about who are the bands that we are going to rank. So you have the list in front of you?
I do.
All right. So I'll read off the first 10. You read off the second 10, and then we'll get into it. So the bands that are up for consideration here are Alistair, the Benjamins, the Early November, Phoenix TX, Finch, Halifax, Hello Goodbye, Hidden in Plain View, Homegrown, Houston Calls, and you can finish it up.
Okay. I Am the Avalanche, I Can Make a Mess, and I believe the band's name is I Can Make a Mess.
I think it's I Can Make a Mess Like Nobody's Business.
No, it's I Can Make a Mess.
You sure?
I checked it. Yep, I'm positive.
Okay.
I Can Make a Mess Like Nobody's Business, I think, is the name of a song they do, or an album.
Okay, continue.
Check it. Midtown, The Movie Life, Newfound Glory, RX Bandits, Census Fail, Something Corporate, The Starting Line, you may have heard of them, and Steel Train. That is 20.
That is 20. There are a few that we didn't include, but that's most of them. By the way, both of our answers are correct. It started off, the band was called I Can Make a Mess Like Nobody's Business, and then it was shortened to I Can Make a Mess. So both right.
Okay. So basically, so I didn't think we were going to give the list, but I don't hate it. I think it's a good idea. So we gave you the list. Now you know what we're going to rank. Now I have no more words. Now we can get into it.
Now it's so strange doing Rankin It like right away. Usually this is the last thing that we do. But anyways, we'll do it first.
It's a little bit different, though. It's a little bit different, Steve. And I could do the intro if you like, if it makes you feel better.
Which intro?
Well, this is the segment of the show that everybody loves. This is Rankin It, ladies and gentlemen. And in case you've never listened to our show, or if you have and you haven't been paying attention, this is where we rank our most favorite things from the subject matter of today's episode. However, this one's a little bit different. And if you did not catch the rules, hit rewind and listen again. With that, go ahead.
That's great. I think we should throw out that although there are going to be multiple Rankin It Summer Showdown episodes, not everyone is going to follow the same theme. So make sure and tune in each week because some of them might be different. We're going to keep people on their toes, Chris.
I don't like toes, though.
I found that out. Yeah. Well, we'll keep people on high alert. How's that?
On their shoes. Men should wear shoes.
Okay. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at 20 and we'll do these in a couple of blocks. Is that good? So I'll start out and I'll start with my first 5 here. Sound good?
Are you keeping track of this or what?
I am keeping track of this. I have a spreadsheet. It's a Microsoft Excel and there are many formulas involved.
All right. And if you're listening to this at home, we encourage you guys, keep your own list, start your own list and see where you kind of work out with what we have right here on our papers. So with that, go ahead, Steve, if you want to start with your first 5.
Yes, and we always start by ranking, the highest. We're going to start at 20. We're going to go down to 1. So I'm going to start off at number 20. My least favorite of this list of Drive-Thru Records bands was not that difficult for me to decide. It is Steel Train. We tried during Drive-Thru Summer to do Steel Train once, and I listened to it for about 10 minutes, and I was like, I cannot listen to this. So if they're better and I didn't give them a chance, then sorry, Steel Train, but for my Rankin It, they are number 20. 19 and 18, I'm going with bands that are probably very, very good because they have very, very good singers that are from other bands. But unfortunately, they're not bands that I really listened to or gave a chance. So again, sorry to these guys for being up there. But number 19, I'm going with I Am the Avalanche. I know that that's Vinny's band, and Vinny is fantastic. I'm not going to mention the movie Life for a little bit here, but I don't know their music enough, so they're getting number 19. And number 18, same thing, Ace Enders, I Can Make a Mess. I just don't know the body of work. I did see him do some I Can Make a Mess stuff one time. It was fun to sing along to, but I don't know it all that well. So 1918, I'm the Avalanche, I Can Make a Mess. Number 17 is a band that I believe they only had one album, and I really only know one song that is from the Drive-Thru Records sampler, but I did like that song, and that is going to be the Benjamins. So they're going to get my number 17 spot. And then number 16 is a band I really only listened to one album. I would call it, I guess, in a little more of the emo genre. Number 16 for me is going to be the band Halifax. And I'll take a pause.
Okay, here we go. So drink that in. Hopefully you guys are taking notes. Like I said, here are my 20 through, I guess it would be 16, correct?
Yes.
By the way, I'm not going to apologize to anybody. So if you're in my bottom 5, that's just the way it is. It's
Too bad,
just
so
where I
sad.
believe it. I believe that where it belongs, and I think that those out there that we've spoken to will understand. Number 20 for me is I Can Make a Mess because I did not connect with. I don't know if it's really that bad after listening to it, but something has to be number 20. And when I put this style of music up against 19 others, I just don't feel like it fits me as well as the 19 above it. So that's where that one goes. Number 20 is I Can Make a Mess. Number 19 is the Benjamins. For similar, it's just a similar thought. It's just that I think that it's not better than 18 above. The style isn't my style, and I'm not sure it would grow on me over time either. So you may love it. I don't feel the same way. Next is Steel Train, and this one actually I thought was going to be my number 20, but after listening to it, I kind of thought that it was better than I originally gave it credit for. I'm not saying I'm going to go celebrate their entire catalog and listen to them on repeat, but I felt like they were good enough to get knocked up just a few notches than the bottom spot on this list. So that's where I put them. Next is going to be New Found Glory, and I think that's on brand with how I feel about this band. They're not the very worst. They're not the bottom of the list, but I really, and again, I'm not. This is no shtick. Like I did think about every other band that I put above them, and I would listen to every other band that I put above them before I would listen to New Found Glory. So I just that's it. Nothing else to say there. And then 16 is I want to make sure I don't say this the wrong way. I Am the Avalanche. I liked it a little bit better than Steve. That's all I can really say. I had a little bit more oomph to it than maybe how you liked it, Steve. But that's where it belongs for me.
All right. Well, I can't say that I'm surprised. We've talked about New Found Glory for 5.5 years, so I know that you're not a huge fan. And if that was that's one that one could consider a hot take, but I don't really feel like it's a hot take from you. That's very consistent with your opinion of them over the years. So it is what it is. All right. So I'm going to pick up here at number 15, which kind of piggybacks on a little bit of that harder side, Edge, as my number 16, Halifax. My number 15 is Hidden in Plain View. Really like the album that we listened to, and we talked to one of the dudes from there. They're very cool. Just edging that out at number 14, I'm giving that to Hello Goodbye, which is something that's very, very different than all the other Drive-Thru Records stuff. But when we did that album spotlight, I thought it was pretty cool. I liked a lot of it. Number 13, I'm going to go with the Pharmaceutical Bandits, the RX Bandits. We've done, I think, 2 different albums by them, and they're very good. They're not really my go-to, but I enjoyed them. Number 12, I'm going with Vinny's number 1 band, The Movie Life. I'm a fan of theirs. And at number 11, and I sense that you will probably have them higher than I will, but at number 11, I'm going with Senses Fail. And I believe they only, I think, had 1 record on Drive-Thru Records, so maybe it was unfair to include them here. But Senses Fail is going to get my number 11 on this list.
Okay. It's incorrect, but I get it. But I'll tell you what, that it's still interesting because if we take a look at these groupings 5 by 5, we are almost on the same page. Maybe not in the exact order, but if you group them 5-5, it's a lot of the same bands in those cohorts. So it's going to be interesting how these kind of shake out. But okay, so number 15 for me was Movie Life. Number 14 was RX Bandits, who I remember really liking the first time through for whatever reason, I think we did another RX Bandits album after that, and I didn't like it as much. I can't remember exactly, or maybe it was an RX Bandits song off of
We
a
did two
compilation.
albums.
Yeah, it was the second album I just wasn't a big fan of. The first one I loved that we did. So I just mash those two together. I'm gonna go with the better of the two and just make that one like a mulligan, make it win, or whatever that game in golf is where you take the best shot. But RX Bandits belongs there. Phoenix DX is the next one. That's going to be number 13. I just don't feel like they had enough to break into my top 10. I think they're fine. I don't think that I just there was something about their sound that just can't break through for me, and that's fine, right? I think that they're just average. They're just average pop punk band, kind of on the older side. That's all. Hello Goodbye is above them at number was at 12. I really liked Hello Goodbye. I remember back to that episode when we talked about that one album, and I know this is supposed to be a body of work, but I think they have a very eclectic, unique sound that I got into a lot. And I remember putting that album on for a significant amount of time after we had that episode, and really enjoying it and some of the other stuff that I listened to as well. So definitely a different sound, but I think they belong there. And then finally at the top of this group of five is Hidden in Plain View. I love the harder sound, and definitely belong in that 11 spot. So that's where I'm at.
So I don't know how you did this, but I kind of drew a line in the sand and said, like, let me first pick the 10 that I think would be in the bottom, and then see what's left over. And when you look at this final 10 here from 10 to 1, this was pretty hard. I feel like this was very, very difficult. Almost every decision. Actually, number 10 was not that hard. Number 10 is Finch. I like Finch. I don't like Finch as much as you like Finch. However, I feel like they fit perfectly for me in that spot. After this is where everything gets kind of saucy and difficult. So number 9, I'm going with our friends in the early November. They're my ninth favorite. Huge body of work, lots of longevity. Took me to way later in life, only a couple years ago, to get into them. So that's kind of why they occupy that spot. And number 8 was kind of hard for me because I love this band, but if I really think about it, this band only had like 2.5 albums, and one of which I didn't particularly dig all that much. So I'm gonna give Something Corporate my number 8 spot. I know that's one of my Leaving Through the Window is one of my favorite albums of all time. But when I didn't really dig North all that much, and that's kind of the end of Something Corporate right there, other than their EP. So body of work wise, that's where that kind of hurt them. Now we're on to number 7, a band that has had tons of albums, even though everybody probably knows one or two of them the best. And that's going to be Alistair. Alistair gets my number 7. And I'm comparing that to the next one, number 6, a band that has 3 albums, and 2 of them I love. One of them is top tier. Number 6 for me is going to be Midtown. So Finch, early November, Something Corporate, Alistair, Midtown is my 10 to 6.
We got 3 matching out of the 5.
Like exact?
No, not in the same order.
Oh, just in 3. The same bunch.
Yeah. You know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for people to just throw a fit over some of these. I can't wait.
There's definitely some people who would have a fit over Newfound Glory at 17.
Dude, it's just they belong there. I mean, let's talk about it.
Disagree.
They have so many albums that are not good. I think they have more albums that are not good than ones that are passable. you talk about Newfound Glory, everybody just goes to Sticks and Stones for the most part. So it's like, okay, what else is good? Maybe you like their first album, kind of, but I don't see it. And anymore, everybody I talk to, I'm sorry, I don't want to generalize. A good majority of people that I talk to don't like any of their new stuff. They think they're a parody of themselves. So, I mean, I don't go according to what other people say, but it doesn't hurt to know that it backs up my opinion a lot on where I put them on this list. So I fully believe that they're in the right spot.
I could disagree with that wholeheartedly and say they
you're an
have
apologist.
multiple fantastic albums.
You're a Newfound Glory apologist.
There are some mid ones, and then yes, the most recent one was not good for sure. And some of the latter half of the catalog is not as good as the first half, but there's nothing that's not passable, and there's many that are fantastic. When you look, Nothing Gold Can Stay, self-titled, all the cover albums, you got Sticks and Stones, Catalyst. I always liked Coming Home. A lot of people did not. Resurrection. After that, I'm not apologizing anymore, but yes.
Let me throw you a life jacket because you're drowning in nostalgia.
I'm drowning? Is there a D in that word?
You heard me. You heard me.
I'm drowning.
Even though you're trying to discredit me by making fun of whatever you heard, which that's your problem, not mine. You heard me.
We know each other well enough, and we've talked about this enough that none of this is a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm. Number 10 is Homegrown. Homegrown is number 10 because they obviously warrant the number 10. They're top 10 on this list for sure, but I don't know if one album's enough to make me feel like one album that I really love is enough for them to be any higher than that. A band that's similar in nature in terms of time frame belongs at number 9, and that's Alistair. I think that song for song, and I even could have made the argument that Alistair belongs even maybe a notch higher. That was difficult because Alistair, even beyond the album that everybody would point to, I think they have really, really catchy melodies. I don't think anybody could debate that, even with the older sound, the older being like, 90s sound, more original Drive-Thru. I think there's definitely a charm to it. So Something Corporate is next at 8, on my list. And I tend to maybe I enjoyed a little bit more than you do. Honestly, like of all of Andrew McMahon's bands, I like Something Corporate the most. I like it exponentially better than Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. And I don't know. Maybe it's just the sound. Maybe it's a little bit more edgy. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because it has a little bit more of that, pop punk sound to it. But Something Corporate's there. 7, I have Midtown. I don't think I need to go into a ton of detail here. I think maybe I agree with what you said on Midtown. And then I put Halifax at number 6, and I just love their sound. I love Halifax. I remember, like you said, talking about them, and it's been in my playlist now since then. So big fan of them, and that's my 6 through 10.
Surprised that one was that high, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now it's time to get into the nitty gritty. There are only 5 left.
Mm-hmm.
My number 5 band is a band that I only really found out about a couple of years ago, but since I found out about them, I called it on our show the best album that I had never heard of. I'm talking about Houston Calls and their End of an Era album, and then getting into their collection of short stories album. It's only 2 albums, yes, but these 2 albums have been stuck in my brain, and I've been playing them a lot. I've seen them live once and coming up again in about a month. So Houston Calls deserves this number 5 spot for me. Um, we only have 4 left. So number 4, you were not a huge fan of this band. This might be the nostalgia factor. This was one of the first bands that I got into. When I was getting into Blink 182, I was getting into Phoenix TX. And again, they only have 2 albums and then a couple extra songs, but that band was instrumental for me in getting into the scene. And I would say, goddamn, if those 2 albums aren't fantastic pop punk albums that show a little bit of growth, even in between self-titled and Lechuza, a lot of growth in between those two. Really wish that we got more out of them. So Phoenix TX is going to get my number 4 spot. And now we're down to the top 3. I'm going with the Kings of Pop, homegrown. Maybe this is a little bit of recency bias. We just spoke to Johnny, we just spoke to Adam, and I just got to see them live. And when I flew out to California and back, I listened to Kings of Pop on repeat. You had mentioned, yes, Kings of Pop is the one strong album that everybody knows. But their EP that came out after that was fantastic. And the stuff that came out before that as well, Can't Slow Down, At Your Age, very good, a little different, a little more ska and punk. But I think body of work-wise, Homegrown deserves my number 3 spot. And getting down to number 2 and 1, you're not a fan of them, but I'm a huge fan of the Newfound Glory, of A Newfound Glory, of Newfound Glory. It's hard to match an album run like Nothing Gold Can Stay, self-titled, Sticks and Stones, Catalyst, Coming Home, with the cover albums mixed in there too. And I'm not going to apologize for their most recent stuff that I'm not that big a fan of, but if we're ranking my favorite drive-through bands, no matter what, bands I want to see live, bands I want to listen to, Newfound Glory doesn't get the top spot, but they get the number 2 spot. And you may see this coming. You probably might have guessed it. I don't know. Again, it's not a band with the most longevity, right? Because Alistair has more albums in the starting line. The Early November has more albums in the starting line. Starting line has 3 albums, an EP, an acoustic album, and then they've got, well, actually they have 2 EPs, and then they've got another one that's coming out this year. But overall, I think when you look at the starting line, with hopes of starting over, Say It Like You Mean It, Based on a True Story, Direction. I mean, these albums as a body of work, even though it's not the biggest quantity of albums, is the highest quality, I think. I've seen them live countless, probably more than any other band. I have a whole lot of fun. I love Kenny. I think that they're fantastic. So my number 1 Drive-Thru Records band is the starting line.
I know at least one guy that would agree with you. I don't know about any more than that.
Pooh Bear?
I wasn't thinking of Pooh Bear, no.
Oh, well, he'd agree. He loves starting line.
Would he? Would he really?
He loves the starting line, yeah.
But does he love another band more?
We'd have to ask him.
It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. So the Early November is number 5 for me. This is where it got tough after that. I put the starting line at number 4. Only because, I put them below the next band because I think that from an enjoyability factor, you can make an argument between, like, if you look at the number of songs that are really good for both bands, like for me, it's give and take, but I really do think, and as good as the starting line songs are, and I will not take that away from you, and I'm not a detractor of that band either. Like I enjoy what they do, and I actually really like their new song too. But there's something special that starting line for me doesn't have that Houston Calls does. And I know, we have Tom on the show, and I obviously give him a lot of props, but he this band, like it's the melodies, the hits, like the big hits are just earworm. Like they're like some of the best melodies and some of the most upbeat. I could put them on in the car with my kids that don't really listen to this music and they can enjoy it. Like I just feel like that's why potentially Houston Calls. Actually, not potentially, definitively. They belong one spot ahead of Starting Line at number 3. Number 2 is going to be Finch, because Finch is, when you think about, post-hardcore, when you think about, screamo, emo, that sort of genre of music, Finch was one of the first bands that I had that I listened to in depth, got into, enjoyed, et cetera, et cetera. What It Is to Burn is just a iconic song, and it doesn't stop there with that album. From front to back, I'm a fan. I even like the songs you didn't. So and even beyond that, like, it wasn't just that one album. Like, I actually enjoyed several others beyond just What It Is for that particular album. But they weren't number one, and number one was Senses Fail, and it's my style of music, correct? But Senses Fail, for me, they just blend all the best stuff that maybe like a Finch does, like that sound, with these pop punk melodies that are just undeniable. They put their screams in the right spots all at the right times, and they have so many good songs on so many albums. I've actually expanded, what I've been listening to recently, to several other Census Fail albums beyond just the two that we reviewed on the show, and I can't stop listening to them. So, out of all these bands, the most enjoyable, the best for me is Census Fail at number 1.
All right. Well, I'm going to tally up all of the votes here, and I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to go through what the final results are. Chris, can you give a quick, just go 20-1, fresh in everybody's memory, what your list was?
Okay, at 20, I Can Make a Mess. 19, The Benjamins. Then I had at 18, Steel Train. At 17, Newfound Glory. 16, I Am the Avalanche. 15, Movie Life. 14, RX Bandits. 13, Phoenix DX. 12, I had Hello Goodbye. 11 was Hidden in Plain View. Then we had Homegrown at 10, Alistair at 9, Something Corporate at 8, Midtown at 7, Halifax at 6, The Early November at 5, Starting Line at 4, Houston Calls 3, Finch 2, Census Fail 1.
All right. And me going through mine, I have Steel Train at 20, 19, I Am the Avalanche, 18, I Can Make a Mess, 17, The Benjamins, 16, Halifax, 15, Hidden in Plain View, 14, Hello Goodbye, 13, RX Bandits, 12, The Movie Life, 11, Census Fail, 10, Finch, 9, Early November, 8, Something Corporate, 7, Alistair, 6, Midtown, 5, Houston Calls, 4, Phoenix TX, 3, Homegrown, 2, Newfound Glory, and 1, The Starting Line. So now it is time to go through what all that means. Put them all together. Chris, I shared my screen here in this little Excel spreadsheet. So you can see the that column D has the combined total score, and then right next to it in E, I put the final rank. And if two bands had the same rank, I just called it a tie at the better rank. So I guess I will start here. So tied for, I guess, the last place, tied for 19th place, is going to be I Can Make a Mess Like Nobody's Business and Steel Train. So those each had a combined 38 points here. Number 18 goes to the Benjamins. Number 17 to I Am the Avalanche. And then we had a tie for the next place, which would be, I guess, a tie for 15th place. You're supposed to do 15, so you can call it out.
Yeah, it's also interesting, and I know you didn't do this, but it's interesting to see how far apart we were when we look at this view. So the 15s, there were two of them. It was the Movie Life and the RX Bandits. For the Movie Life, we were fairly close. You were 12, I was 15, so just a couple spots. But RX Bandits, we were right next to each other. You
Yep.
were 13, I was 14. And I keep going, right? I go 15 through what, 10?
Sure, yeah,
All right, so
or 11.
we then had a tie for 13th place because you skip a couple because of the ties. And so tied for 13 is Hello Goodbye, and Hidden in Plain View. For Hello Goodbye, you were a little bit lower, but we were only apart by two spots, 14 and 12. And Hidden in Plain View, a little bit more of a gap. So 15 for you, 11 for me. Not crazy, but a little bit further apart. Then we had at 12 Halifax, thanks to me. Otherwise, they probably would have been much lower. But this was one of the largest gaps that we've had so far, where Steve had them almost at the bottom of the list at 16, and I have them almost to the top of the list at 6. So that's where they sit. New Found Glory comes next. Steve had him in his second spot.
Wasn't good enough.
So they did not crack the top 10. They were never number 17 for me. I am okay with that. I'm okay with that, where they sit.
And I think that's probably the largest discrepancy. That's 15 places different. So I had them at 2, you had them at 17, so they end up sitting at number 11. Number 10 also so all right, we're here in the top 10. Top 10 drive-through bands according to Steve and Chris put together. Number 10, again, another relatively big discrepancy. I had them at 4, you had them at 13. That's Phoenix TX. Then we had actually a tie here for number 8. Getting the same amount of votes was Alistair and Something Corporate. And we actually both ranked Something Corporate each 8. Alistair, I had 7, you had 9, so we were right there together. Now into the top 7. The number 7 spot goes to the early November. We don't really have a 6. We have a tie for 5th. And this was another one that had a little discrepancy. I had them all the way up at number 3, and you had them at 10. Is Homegrown, and they are tied with Midtown, who we both had right around 6 and 7. So Homegrown, Midtown.
Yeah, okay. So Finch is in that 3rd spot, but also tied for 3rd with Census Fail, which to me is a travesty. It made no sense, but it's the way it falls. So Finch actually was a decent sized disparity once again, where you had him at 10 and I had him at 2, similar to our homegrown scores with 3 and 10. So I think that kind of counteracted that a little bit. And then Census Fail, maybe the same story. You had them at 11. I had them at 1. But number 2, and maybe a surprise to a lot of people. I don't know if this is going to be a big thing or not, whether or not they're going to say, yeah, it makes sense, or why in the world, but we don't care. We're huge fans of this band. Houston Calls in that number 2 spot. Steve had him a little bit lower than me at 5 versus 3, but I think it's right in that wheelhouse to where they belong, and that puts them in that 2nd spot. And then Starting Line was our number 1, Steve, where you had him at 1 and I had him at 4. So top 5 for me, number 1 for you. That puts them in that top spot.
It's an interesting list. I think there are definitely discrepancies, bands that I had higher and you had lower, and vice versa. But to just read them all down the line, we have I Can Make a Mess, Steel Train, The Benjamins, I Am the Avalanche, The Movie Life, RX Bandits, Hello Goodbye, Hidden in Plain View, Halifax, New Found Glory at 11. That's crazy. Phoenix TX, yes. Phoenix TX at 10.
Hold on. Let's talk about this for a second before you continue.
We kind of talk.
Why is it crazy?
They're just a staple of the entire genre.
Is it just because it's one of those things where, well, they belong there because they're New Found Glory? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, it's not because just their name is New Found Glory. It's just because of what they, have accomplished. They're a staple.
You reinforce your opinion about them by just naming off albums. That's all you did. So that makes me not feel any closer to the fact that I was wrong. Now, that's my opinion, fine. But I think that right around that 10 spot, I would have even been okay if they were in the top 10 at 10. but I don't think that's a travesty. Where would you have wanted Newfound Glory if you? I mean, obviously I know where you'd rank them, but fair is fair. Like when you have two people going, where do you think a good spot for them would have been to fall?
I mean, in this list, I think at minimum top 5. If you look at if you're taking into account the songs, the music, the longevity, what they've done for the scene, the live show, all the things put together. And listen, I know you're not a fan. That's okay. I can't argue and make you be a fan. That's never going to happen. It hasn't happened in 5.5 years.
We can argue. That's why we have a show.
But all of those things put together, not just because their name is Newfound Glory or anything like that. I find them deserving of a top 5 spot, I would think. But if they rub certain people the wrong way, like you, sir, then they end up where they're at, number 11.
I think when you rule out a little of the more, like you roll out a lot of the hardcore stuff from being in those top spots, you do. So when you do that, I think that's, I don't know, like obviously that's a preference thing, but I think that if you take a look at it from, more objective, and you think about, the music versus just, what your nostalgia is with the band. I think some of these hardcore bands belong in the top 5, 6, and that knocks Newfound Glory down the list. That's just the way I feel. If not Newfound Glory, then one of these other bands that are higher up that are of the same sound, that sound the same as the other one or similar in nature. So we could argue that all day. I'll let you continue with the list, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more. There's a couple other things I want to bring up.
Okay, top 10 is Phoenix TX, Alistair, Something Corporate, Early November, Homegrown, Midtown, Finch, Census Fail, Houston Calls, and Starting Line. Coming in at number 1.
Now let's talk about that.
That's the
number
recap.
1. Do you think obviously you ranked them number 1, but are you surprised Starting Line was number 1?
No, I'm not surprised. When I look at the way that this whole thing shook out, I think that Houston Calls and Starting Line, we overlap in our enjoyment of those bands, whereas, some of the other ones that were a little bit more separated in the rankings, one of us enjoys them more than the other, right? So Finch and Census Fail, you enjoy those bands significantly more than I do. Some of the other ones were a little bit more even, but I think 2 and 1, I'm not surprised that those two bands ended up there because I would have assumed that both of us would have put them in the top 5.
Do you have a thought about the fact that Houston Calls ended up higher than Phoenix TX for you?
That was a tough one, actually, but when you look at it,
or Homegrown,
just for me. Well, I ranked Homegrown a little bit higher than Houston Calls, Phoenix, and as well as Phoenix TX. So you're saying, say that one more time. Ask your question again.
How do you feel about what do you feel about the fact that Houston Calls ended up higher in the rankings versus bands that you had ranked higher? And I called out 2 specific ones.
Oh, I'm okay with that. Those bands, Phoenix TX only had 2 albums as well. Houston Calls had 2 albums, and Homegrown had more than that, but they really have one kind of standout album. So, that doesn't make me upset at all. I think that people that maybe don't know Houston Calls that well might think, how did we rank them the number 2 drive-thru band of all time? But listen to fucking Houston Calls. I mean, those 2 albums are fantastic. So I'm totally cool with that. But I think I'm comfortable with where I put everybody in my list.
Could you have gotten Houston Calls to number 3 with me?
Could I have? I did struggle with it. Yes. But some of the nostalgia. It's not nostalgia. That's the wrong word. It's the longevity. I've lived with the Phoenix TX records and the Homegrown records for a much longer time in my life and in my brain. And that's why they got a little bit of an edge over the Houston Calls.
Now let's go back. Let's go down to the bottom and let's think about those bands for a second. We were pretty on on brand with, or it was we were aligned on the number with I Can Make a Mess, Steel Train, the Benjamins, I'm Avalanche, like those bands. What? Why do you think that is? Is it just because we're not as familiar with them, or do you think it's the sound? Like I have an opinion, but what do you think?
I can only speak for myself. I think that it's lack of familiarity. And if those bands, if I liked those bands more and they hooked me in, maybe I would have gotten more familiar with them. But for whatever reason, I did not. Steel Train, I just didn't like when I actually listened to them. The Benjamins, I listened to kind of that one song. I know the people like them, and they, I just never kind of gave them a chance. And that's really what it is for I Can Make a Mess and I'm the Avalanche. I don't really think I have much to say about them, positive or negative. I can't listen to every album, can't listen to every band. Those ones didn't pull me in. So for me, it's just lack of really the knowledge.
But I listen to them. Like I listen to them, and you listen to them. So it's not like we don't like we just haven't listened to them a million times. But I think even after listening to them, I did not necessarily enjoy the Benjamins. I don't know. Like I just didn't enjoy it. So does that mean it's bad? I guess not. We can make objective opinions here because it's our show, but Steel Train, similar thing. I Am the Avalanche, though, I think they have some potential to go. I don't know how far they would rise up this list, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of bands they would have to beat out that I really like. So they might go up. Maybe they could beat out. Who did I have above them? The Movie Life, RX Bandits, Hello Goodbye. Maybe one or two spots. I don't think I'd ever love I Am the Avalanche, but definitely one that could have moved up a couple spots. Everybody else in that bottom three were where they were, that's where they were going to be for me. But my toughest part was like the next cohort, like that next five. I really wasn't sure what to do with some of those bands, especially like the Movie Life, RX Bandits. I just felt like I liked them just the same. And they were right next to each other. So those rankings could have gone either way. That's, the 15-14, the RX Bandits over Movie Life. It could have been a coin flip. I mean, it's well, that's really challenging. So, I think that was for me the toughest part. What was the toughest decision for you, Steve?
Um, Honestly, it was the top 10. I felt like 20 to 16 was relatively easy. 15 to 11, I knew the bands that were going to be in that kind of space, and ranking them wasn't all that difficult. It was really the 10 to 1. I mean, the top 10 are just heavy hitters. Their Drive-Thru Records was so influential, and these albums and these bands were so influential. Like, I mean, I've had Alistair at 7. I would have loved to put Alistair at 3 or 2 or something like that. So it was tough. Again, also a band like Something Corporate, where I love Andrew McMahon and everything he's done. But again, only one album that I'm just over the moon about. And it's like, do you rank them high because that one album is so good? Or, do they get knocked down a little bit lower because other bands have multiple good albums? So it was really tough. And then, yeah, figuring out, again, Houston Call is a band that I didn't really get back into. I didn't get into when they had first come out in around 2005, 6, somewhere around there. Didn't get into them until, just a couple of years ago. And it's like, they're going up against Phoenix TX and Homegrown in Midtown. And that was difficult. So, I kind of knew I feel like my number 1 and 2, I knew that those were going to be there. I think 3 to 9 was the most difficult to actually put in a rank.
Are you happy with this final list?
I mean, this was fun. Yeah, this is good. I
No,
mean, it's not my list. It's not your
I,
list. It's our list.
no, this is our list. Are you happy with, and I want you to be, don't be a politician. Are you happy with this list?
Am I happy with the list?
Yes, that's the question.
Yeah, this represents the best of the two of us. I'll be a politician if that's what you're calling me.
You're too positive. You can be honest.
It's not
Be
my
honest.
list. I mean, this list in this order is not my list, but that wasn't this exercise. This exercise was to see what happens when we put our two brains together. And this is kind of exactly what I thought would happen.
This is our agreed upon list of the top 20 drive-through record bands.
Yes.
Our agreed upon list, yes.
It is. It is. Our combined.
It's
not
the
agreed upon. Combined.
It's the definitive list then.
It is. And I could have predicted this almost exactly how it shook out, probably.
I don't think I would have. I predicted that you would have had, you want my opinion? I
Yeah.
think you would have had something corporate higher for, I'm surprised they were number 8. And by the way, that was the only one we agreed upon.
Yeah, that was
100%.
Yep.
Which is weird. I mean, it's weird that we got one. I thought they all were going to be different, but I thought they were going to be higher for you. I thought that, which one else? Was it the early November? I thought early November would have been higher too, like at 9. Not that that's like awful, but I thought that would have been it. I thought it would have been top 5. Like I knew you were going to go Newfound Glory. I knew you were going to go Starting Line. I wasn't sure if you were going to put Houston Calls top 5. That that wasn't one that I necessarily. It doesn't surprise me that I didn't predict it. So, but I thought you were going to have at least either early November or Midtown in your top 5 with Houston with Starting Line and Newfound Glory. I knew you weren't going to have Finch and Census Fail high.
But not super low.
Yeah, I mean in the top
Middle
20,
of the pack.
yeah, I mean not with all the bands here. You're not going to put Census Fail below the Benjamins. I mean, if you would have done that, then fine. I mean, I think you enjoy them a little bit more than that. But so that's some of the surprises for me.
My surprises, I think, for your list, I didn't think that you would have early November in the top 5, which you did. I thought that you would have Homegrown ranked better than you did. I didn't think that you were as much of a Midtown fan that you would put them at 7. So that was a pleasant surprise.
I am.
And I didn't realize that you took such a liking to Halifax. I thought they would for sure be in the bottom 10, but they were your number 6 band. So they were ahead of bands like Alistair and some of the corporate and Midtown. So that just might not be something that I knew that you took such a liking to them. So there were a couple of surprises there.
I did. I was actually surprised that I put Midtown where I did. Honestly, like I did not think, if you look at first of all, if you look at my list, nobody can see it because this is audio, but I have a lot of things crossed out and moved around and arrows, and it's a mess. Like this is a mess that I'm looking at right now.
I used a color system.
I mean, did you write it down or did you do it on the computer?
Well, I have it printed out. I put so the bottom, I was like, all right, I'm going to put 10 red dots next to the ones that are probably going to be, like 20 to 11, and then see what happens. So I tried to do that for 10 of those. And then what I did was, I think when it started to get hard, I went to all right, well, I think I know exactly. I think I'm putting Starting Line 1 and Newfound Glory 2. So I put them there. And then I have blue dots next to the rest of them. I started writing how many albums they had. It's a little scratchy.
Okay, so I did it differently. I just ranked them. Like I was like, okay, here we go. So I went 1 to 20. I just did it. I just ripped the Band-Aid off. But then I rethought it. And I'm like, like that doesn't fit. And that's why I started to move around. And then there's all these arrows and scratch offs and all that stuff. So it took some time to really come to this final list here. And I stand behind it. But I stand behind our opinions, and I stand behind how fun this was. even though we had a little bit of argument, little bit of not argument, that's a bad word, but
Friendly banter.
A lot of good discussion. You were very friendly, I'll tell you that much.
I'm
You
a
were
friendly
super
guy.
friendly. You are. I'm not so much. Or maybe I am and people just don't know it. But Steve, this was Rankin It. This is the first episode of Rankin It for this month. I can't wait to see what's next.
Yes, we have. We're gonna have 3 more Rankin It Summer Showdowns. So stay tuned. And again, we have a couple of different formats that we're gonna play with, and there might be another one like this. There might be some other different ones. So stay tuned. And that's it.
Do we do Rankin It of the Rankin It now?
No, I think that's it.
Hey, but we always have to do a rank.
We did. That was the whole episode.
Listen, guys, hopefully you did your list too. That was the other thing is if you want to play along, please do that. But we want to see it. That's the key. We want to see how you ranked these 20 bands. So if you have Discord, use the Discord. If you don't have Discord and you want to join our Discord, please do, because that's going to be the best way. There's so many people on there that are going to do this, and then we can talk about it back and forth. I've actually been a little bit more active on the Discord, Steve. So there's no better time than now than to get in there because we can get everybody's opinion. If you don't want to do that, that's cool too. You can catch us on the socials. So Facebook and or Instagram are 2 of the best. You can post your ranking of your top 20 drive-through record bands based on the ones that we called out. Either place, it's up to you. We just want to hear from you. So check us out on any of those things. I'll tell you what, the best place that you can use to link to what I just talked about, the socials, our shop, the Discord is our hub. And simply put, that's www.hsnepod.com.
That's right. And if you like this episode or any of our episodes, make sure and give us a 5-star rating or a written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Buy some swag, hsnepod.com, and join our Patreon, patreon.com/hsnepod. And we have a couple different tiers. You get bonus episodes. You get to find out what we're going to talk about early and lots of other fun stuff. So Rankin It Summer Showdown will continue next week. Until then, keep on rocking your dad bods, stir up your rock hands, and blast the pop punk.
It's Dragon Wagon.